this model that I'm going to share with you now doesn't have anything to do with personality type. This is attitudinal type choices. So we've got a bit of a 4-box model. Some of the language I'm going to use will be quite emotive for this exercise, but you'll be able to link this very, very quickly to the type of people that give you energy, and the type of moods that you can be in that will give you lots of energy, and the type of people that drain our energy, and the type of moods that drain your energy on the back of this. And as we go through this model, you know, don't anybody be writing anybody's name or anything like that in the chat box, but you will be thinking of people as we go through it. So before we can get to what a radiator is, an energy radiator, and also an energy drain, let's have a look at these 4 different types of people and get a bit of context around them, and we'll look at this from your point of view personally, and also if you're obviously around other people like that as well. But basically you've got a 4-box model here, 4-box model, and on this side of the model you've got people that are bought in. Okay, so in other words, positive mental attitude. Now, from other sessions that I've run and work that I've done within Centrica, attitude is a choice. We choose our attitude. It is based on our belief set, and that is based on our conditioning. But nevertheless, attitude is a choice. So the people in this column, these 2 columns here, these 2 squares, they have a positive attitude. In other words, they're choosing to be solution focused rather than problem focused, and they're choosing to put a smile on rather than a frown, if that makes sense, okay? And then of course on the other side of this model we have the opposite. We have the opposite of that. So you've got people that aren't bought in and choosing to have a poor attitude. Now across the top here, okay, don't worry so much if you can't see the words over here. In fact, let me just try and change the background. Just bear with me a second on that one. People that are bought in, people that are not bought in along here, okay? And then across here we have people with high levels of self-belief along this axis here, and people with low levels of self-belief and also motivation. So high levels of self-belief and motivation, low levels of self-belief and motivation. And we've got names for these 4 different types of attitudes, or 4 different types of people within an organisation, okay? So we're going to start on the good side of the force, as we always do. We're going to start with the good stuff. So we're going to start with this box here, okay? So these people are bought in, good attitude, highly confident and have self-belief, and also highly motivated, okay? Good attitude, highly confident, highly motivated. We call these people the organisational players, okay? So these are like the players on the football pitch. These are the people that score you the goals, okay? They're not yes men and women, so they don't just nod aimlessly. They will challenge things if they're not happy about stuff, but they'll challenge things in the right way, in the right context, and they'll always have that solution-focused mindset going forward, okay? So this is what a player is. You'll know who they are, who you work with them. You might be one of them, but these are the people kind of cup half full, confident in what they're doing, motivated, self-motivated in the workplace, and come in and try and aim for best every day. They might not always get best or peak performance, but they'll at least aim for it every day, okay? So we don't really need to talk, those people are your energy radiators. Okay, and we're going to come on specifically and talk about those energy radiators as we go through the session today. But these people are definitely your energy radiators. If you work around these people, you feel enthused, you feel motivated, you feel buzzed. It's certainly the box that I try and sit in a lot in the workplace, and it's easy for me to sit in this box when I'm doing this sort of thing for you. I have to remind myself to sit in this box when I'm in the office, chasing leads, doing this, doing that, updating admin, doing the account, and so on and so on and so on, okay? So this is about being an all-rounder and trying to aim for best every day, okay? I'm pretty sure that you know people like that, or you're one of them, which is even better, huh? Organisational players, okay? Now what we're going to do is drop down to this box here, okay? And what we've got in this box here is still people that are bought in, so good attitude, okay? So they mean well, but this time maybe less confidence and a little bit less motivation that these people get. But they're still good people, and actually what they need is maybe a bit of help and support personally with their self-talk and stuff like that, but also as a leader maybe a little bit of help and support from a leadership point of view to help them with their confidence and so on and so on. We call these people the organisational spectators. Okay, so a spectator, they want to be a player. Okay, they want to be a radiator, but don't always quite kind of get there. Sometimes it could be a lack of motivation, but you'll also find it might be a lack of confidence. And to be fair, confidence and motivation go hand in hand. So when motivation drops, when confidence drops a little bit, sometimes motivation drops with it. So your first point of call really with these people is to try and help with confidence, because they are a radiator sometimes, but they don't aim for it all the time, so they don't quite get there all the time, whereas your players, they're at it 95% of the time and getting it. However, if you've got these two people in your team, you're doing okay, because these are the people that are going to start radiating that energy within the team, and other people bringing other people up when energy is low. So the only caveat with spectators is they might need a little bit more support, a little bit more time, a little bit more help, and so on and so on, to grow their confidence, which in turn will grow their motivation. So that in essence, they are your radiators. Your players being your main radiators, your spectator really wanting to get there might need some help and support. So that's the good side of the force. That's where the type of people that radiate, and I'll give you a bit more information around these in a moment on the next slide. But before we move on, we need to look at the drains, if you like. Okay, so what we've got here on this axis are people that are not bought in. So bad attitude, okay, choosing to have a bad attitude, okay. And you'll notice these people quicker, by the way, because you'll know who they are straight away. But we've got two types. So before we come up and deal with this top right hand corner here, we're going to come down here and deal with this corner. So what we've got in this one is somebody that's not bought in, low confidence and low motivation. So not bought in other words, not bothered, okay? Low motivation, so not bothered again, and probably not very confident because of all the other things. Okay, now we call these people organisational corpses. Now, if you haven't heard me do this session before, you might be smiling right now because it normally gets a laugh, corpse, okay? But that's what these people are. They kind of, you know, haunt your corridors. These are the people that retired years ago and didn't tell anybody. Okay, so you know, that normally gets a laugh as well. Maybe you know one or two of these corpses. And what a corpse is it's somebody that's just disengaged, not bothered, no motivation, low confidence as well, because of all of that. However, from an infectious point of view, they're not that infectious to other people. So they are pretty miserable, but they'll generally be miserable on their own. They don't spend time actually making other people miserable because they're not even that bothered, okay? So it's somebody that's majorly disinfected, it's not the right word, isn't it? Defected, not bothered, disenfranchised, I think is the word. Somebody that's literally not bothered. Now, if you know somebody like that, or they're in your team, there's a bit of an issue with this, because once people fall into this box, productivity will drop. It's as simple as that. They may do just enough to get by and then go home, and they might not even do just enough to get by. I once did this model for a company, and it was like an open program. And while I was doing this, there was two ladies in the corner of the room that were laughing. And I said, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "That's a great description." She said, "That is." She said, "My dad's a corpse." So I said, "Right, okay. I'm not sure how to take that. What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you know, he works for rail track. He's got 2 miles of line. He goes out and checks for safety every day." So I got a bit confused at this point and went, okay. I said, maybe you're getting mixed up. If your dad goes out and checks 2 miles of line for safety every day and he does a good job of it, then actually he's a player. just because the job is repetitive and maybe boring doesn't mean you can't do it well. So you could still be a radiator and do it well and enjoy what you do, even if it's a repetitive task. And the lady said, she said, no, you don't, you haven't got a clue. She said, Railtrack closed that section of line over 6 months ago, and HR haven't caught up with him yet. He's still getting paid. So he's going out every day and checking the line that's closed because of an admin error and the fact that it was still getting paid. That is the best example of a corpse mentality I have ever come across in an organisation. Okay, so we need to watch out for that. And I know you, everybody on this call today, and you can be quite honest with me here and tell me in the chat box, you're probably thinking of other people right now. You're probably naming people that are miserable in your heads. Yeah, we can all be a bit of a corpse at times. Okay, we can all have a bit of a corpse mentality. We can all have a little bit of a spectator mentality as well. What we want to do is make sure that we get up there and we start aiming for that best, that peak performance. We come in, glass half full, solution focused, not problem focused, because that's where the energy starts to radiate, and that's the key. Remember, today is all about being an energy radiator. How do you radiate energy? Not only for yourself, because it gives you, makes you feel better and gives you more energy to be able to go and be productive, but radiating that to other people as well. So, corpse. We don't want to be a corpse. But remember, they are a bit of a drain, but not much of, not compared to the next set of people. So the last set that we've got here are in this corner are people that are not bought in, so bad attitude, but this time highly confident in their own ability and highly motivated to their own end. Okay, so they're highly motivated to their own target. And when I say target, I don't mean business target. I mean they want to, whatever their own agenda is. Okay? And these are the people we have to watch out for, because these are, along with these people, these are your Monday morning grunters. Okay? That's what I affectionately like to call them. You come in on a Monday and you go, morning! And they go, ugh. That's generally the response you're going to get. And then the next question that you ask them, which is not a question you want an answer for, you're being polite, is how are you? And then they spend the next 10 minutes draining the life out of you, telling you how bad the world is. Okay? And that drain, that's where the drain comes from. So, these people, not bought in, not bothered, highly motivated for their own ends, highly confident in their own ability. We call these people the organisational terrorists. Okay? Now, some people might think that's a strong word in the current climate, terrorist, and I have been questioned about using it. I've had one or two companies that wouldn't let me use it, and we had to change it to cynic. The reason why we use terrorist is because if you look at the definition of the word terrorist in an English language, it means somebody or something tries to undermine what you're trying to do. Okay? And that's what this is. It's an organisational terrorist. So they come in and spend 75% of their time doing just enough not to get into trouble, because they're clever, and then they spend the next 25% of their time recruiting these two poor buggers, these two poor people, into their fold. Okay? So, a terrorist will always try and recruit. In other words, what I mean by recruit is get people to have a moan with them. Okay? Do me a favour, on this chat box now, no names allowed, on the chat box, how many people on this call today identify somebody they know in that box, in the terrorist box? Just put me a yes in the chat box. How many people can identify people being in this box? Somebody that's a whinger, bit of a moaner, bit of a drain, he kind of likes a bit annoying to speak with them, and so on and so on and so on. What have we got? Just drop a yes in the chat box, because we've got no yeses. There we go, indeed. Mick's put me on a bad day. Mick, thank you for being so honest. I really, really appreciate that, because do you know what, Mick? We can fall into this, can't we, sometimes, without even realising it. Do you know, Luke, I'm a player 90% of the time, but when I flip, I don't flip down here, I flip here. I do exactly the same as you, Mick, and sometimes I go, oh, John, that wasn't the right way to deal with that, or that was a bit of a whinge you shouldn't have had in front of your team, and so on and so on and so on, yeah? Aaron's put, I fully admit on a Monday morning I'm a terrorist pre-11 o'clock. It should be pre-10 o'clock, Aaron. I know it's a Tuesday we do our sessions, isn't it? Maybe we move our sessions onto a Monday? Maybe give you a bit of thinking time. 10:45 is coffee. I like it. We'll talk about what gives us energy in a moment, Aaron. Luke, thanks guys. You know, a couple of really honest people there. We can flip, but Luke, there are people that do this for a living, and that's where the drain comes in. If you're working around this for a long time, it can drain. And I know it's a bit easier at the moment because a lot of people aren't in the office, still working at home, whereas actually in an office, if you're in an office environment, for those on the call that are, and you've got this going on in the office, that's hard work, that is, to actually get your motivation up and so on, because it's a drain. So we need to look at what gives us energy, what radiates the energy, and what drains it from us as well, which is what we'll do on the session today.